Welcome to Roosevelt Live. This segment of the show, we're going to start off talking about, we've heard the fallout from the CIA that has gone in over to Colombia last week, where the president was going to be going over to speak, and obviously they went over early so they could prepare. The president was here in Tampa, and from there he was going over. From here he was going over there, and you wonder when they went over early, which clearly they would have to do. I obviously know that, like any other business, they are running shifts. There are people that are on different shifts. They run different type of hours. Obviously, the CIA is something that we in the public know very little about, because it is the CIA and it is the Central Intelligence Agency, and we're not going to know a lot about them and what they do and what their movements are. It's more like a stealth movement. We're not going to have that information because they're so close to the president and other assignments that they have to be involved in. Whenever you find out that the amount of people that was involved in this sex for money thing over at the spot over in Colombia, you have to think about it. If it was been one person, then we could have said a person gone rogue. But when there were multiple people involved, high-ranking people involved, supervisors involved, some military personnel involved, you have to believe, like we all believe, that this is not an isolated incident, because no one was trying to hide. Because if it's true that they were bringing women back to the hotel and registering them in as overnight guests, that's blatant. That's blatant. That's out in the open. Was it out in the open because they was in another country and they figured obviously they got anonymity and who would know them over there, correct? They could get away with it. But I don't think that's it. If supervisors are involved, I would have to believe that this is something that has happened on multiple occasions. It's my opinion, but it seems obvious. I mean, if one of the agents would have then got a hotel somewhere off the path from where they were staying and went somewhere and no one's saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, if they single, and if this type of behavior is legal in that country, or if it is or isn't, I don't know. That's their prerogative if they're not on duty. But when you bring those people back to those ladies back to the hotel, and you have supervisors that involved, it can't be something that was an isolated situation. It has to be something that has been happening on more than one occasion. There's too many people involved, and the ranks of people that are involved are not just regular CIA agents. There's some of these people are supervisors. So it's clear to me that there's a problem within the CIA with these people, with this type of extracurricular activity. Now, truly, once again, I want to remember and remind people that these people was off duty at the time. Is it right? Well, I'm sure you're a little bit concerned. Well, I'll be a little bit concerned because I'm not sure. When they was off duty, obviously there were some other agents I assume was on duty, since everybody couldn't be off duty at the exact same time, so I assume there were some agents on duty. But, they say, well, they didn't have anything about the president, they didn't have the president's agenda, they didn't have this, I don't know if they did or didn't, but this has happened before, I truly believe. So how many times has the president been compromised? And maybe it wasn't just this president. Well, people try to blame the president, but if I'm not mistaken, some of these people was there before the president got there. You don't just wipe out the CIA and start over again because you got a new president. And it's not like the whole CIA gets dismantled and they come with a new CIA for 4 years, and then if he doesn't make president again, they come with another set of... That doesn't happen. So while people try to blame the president, which is somewhat absurd, because like I said, these people have been around the agency for a while. They didn't just get there because the President Obama became president. They were there beforehand. It's not the president's fault, and I'm sure the president wants to get the top security he should have as the leader of the free world here in the United States of America. So trying to make it a political issue sounds kind of ridiculous. We should worry about the fact, and I was happy to see that some bipartisaness going on where Republicans and Democrats alike was upset, feeling that not only the United States has been embarrassed by this behavior, but also that the president security was put in jeopardy, and that was through Democrats and Republicans. And it was good to see them come together on that front in some cases. But they always got those people out there that try to make everything political when things are not political sometimes. This is a coming together that we should have had, that we should have been able to talk about, that we should have been able to not try to make it a political football and kick it around. But then again, no matter what happens underneath President Obama administration, people are going to blame the president for anything, everything, and everything and anything, no matter what it is. So I don't know what's going to be the final solution to the CIA and the fallout from all this. We'll continue to watch it, monitor it, and my take on it, of course, is that anytime you put in a position like they are to be at the top echelon of security for the president, then you should do your job. And you should be out, lolly-dolly around. Somebody, I know, repeated again, where they were off duty. Okay, I don't have a problem with people being off duty. You have a right to engage in, certain things you're off duty, but it depends on the job you're holding. Certain things are not allowed even when you're off duty. I mean, it's just not allowed. So you have to look at that. It's just the mass numbers alone that makes me believe that something else was going on this time and on other occasions. But hopefully they'll get to the bottom of it. All peoples that are guilty should be dealt with in a swift and manner to where the remaining people that are in the CIA and some of the military people that are around understand that we, the government of the United States, are not going to allow this type of cuckoo activity to go on when you're out and about. And I still believe, to some degree, jeopardizing the President of the United States and anybody else that we may have been supposed to be keeping a more secure eye on. And it must be nice in a way to be the CIA agent. You get to travel the world, and you get to see and experience different cultures, and that's good. And if you're not at work, you should be able to go out and take in some of the sites and stuff, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But when you got mass numbers of people bringing back prostitutes, or whatever they call themselves, ladies of the night, or escorts, or whatever they call themselves, when you have a vast number of people bringing back ladies to check into their hotel for overnight guests, and to then get in some type of argument about this money thing, I don't really know. It was different numbers thrown around. I'm not sure what the numbers is, but usually it's a shame if numbers are coming to the I'm glad the money was a problem, because if not, this would have never been discovered until maybe something major happened, and God forbid someone would have been successful in trying to take someone out, or successful, or at least an attempt that gone wrong. I don't want to see that happen. Nobody in this country wants to see that happen. But I'm glad that it was an argument, a dispute over money, because that blew the lid off this thing. And I know people have been saying lately, oh, it may be some members of the president's cabinet. Man, listen, this is an issue. It's a security issue. And we need to find out what happened. And stop trying to tie the president's cabinet and try to say, well, some of their people involved in it. Was the cabinet there before the president got there? I thought all the president and their people went over together. I thought these people were already there. I know they were. But like I said, some people want to politicize everything and anything and anything and everything. And that's going to happen throughout the next 6 months or so leading up to the president's election in November. But it is what it is. I'm going to move forward into another subject while we wait for final confirmation on the CIA problem. I want to move into some other things that was talked about and said and brought up and mentioned about the lady the other week that mentioned, of course I mentioned in the last show, about Mitt Romney's wife never working. And clearly, I brought this up last week, but I want to add something to it, is that clearly the way she said it, some people got a little frustrated, and the Romneys jumped on and they went crazy. But back in January, Mitt Romney made a statement, and if anybody don't believe me, they can go look it up for themselves. He made a clear statement talking about women in welfare, and saying that they needed to go back to work, even if their kids was as young as 2 years old. These are his words, not mine. Even if their kids was as young as 2 years old, that they needed to go back to work. I don't understand that, because if they were at home, they claimed that when his wife was at home, that she was working. So wouldn't they, when they were at home, wouldn't they be working too? Because he said they need to go back to work. I don't understand. So that means when they was home for those length of time, their kids, when they had their kids, they wasn't working? Because according to him, his wife was working, and according to all these other people out there, the pundits that was talking, that somehow there was such a terrible thing that the lady said, that his wife wasn't working when they said she was at home, she wasn't working. So if she's working at home, then how come the women that on the welfare system in Massachusetts, what he was talking about, that he wanted them to go back to work so they can have some type of, I'm paraphrasing, a sense of accomplishment, or somehow make them feel better about themselves. But he said he needed them to go, and I quote, back to work. If they're going back to work, that would lead me to believe that they were at home, they wasn't working. That would make me believe that when they were raising their kids at the age of 0 to, right before 2 years old, that somehow they wasn't working at home. And if they're not working at home, then how was his wife working at home? I don't understand how one person is working and another person is not working. I don't understand how the welfare parents need to go back into the workforce so they can have a sense of accomplishment and feel like they're worth something if his wife didn't go into the work field and force and do anything outside the home. This is just double talk. Double talk makes no sense. You either on all for something or you're all against it. You can't be in the middle of in, on, out, inside, out, and roundabout. It makes no sense. It's stupid to sit there and criticize one thing and then months before said something exactly the same thing. I don't know what's wrong with the guy. I don't know if it's all these statements that he makes make any sense. It's just kind of double talk, triple talk, quadruple talk. It's just ridiculous. At the end of the day, it's like, what are you talking about? Let's go back and get on the subjects at hand, the ones we're supposed to be talking about, the ones that makes a difference. Let's talk about that stuff. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what we're supposed to do. I don't know who's going to win the presidential election. I have no idea. But I know one thing, and I'm going to keep on saying this, and I've been saying it, I said I was going to say it every show. People need to go vote. People need to go register. I said it over and over again. If you haven't registered, register. If you never voted before, vote. If you moved, change your address, get a new card so you know what area you're voting in. If you're a student, it's been a lot of changes. If you want to do an absentee ballot, you need to go start early. Florida do have absentee ballots. If you want to put one in, you need to file it right away so you can get your ballots. You can go vote early because there's a lot of strange things going to be going on in this election of 2012. I think this is a new ground we're breaking here. We ain't seen it like we've seen it now. And it's going to be a real strange next 6 months. And I'm going to continue to say the things I say on the air. And I'm not trying to push anybody, even though somebody might say, well, you sound like, I don't care what people say I sound like. I sound like I'm telling the truth. And that's what this is about. I'm not about playing games. If I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you. If I agree with you, I agree with you. What I'm not going to do is say I don't agree with you and then do the exact same thing I said I didn't agree with, then somehow justify it by twisting the words around. Some people might say, well, that's what they always do in a presidential election. Everybody got their opinion. I've been around enough of them. I won't say around them directly, but indirectly. I've been voting for quite a long time now, and I've never seen it like this before. And I'm not paying any more attention now that I've paid in the past. So for someone that claims that I'm paying more attention for some reason, no. I've been a news and politics fanatic for quite a long time, along with sports, of course. My two pet peeves in life. I love them both religiously. So I don't understand where we're coming from with all this double talk. But I'm glad that the gas prices are going back down. Those people that blame the president for them going up, I wonder if they're going to blame him for them going down. The president had nothing to do with the gas prices going up, and I don't believe it had anything to do with him if it goes down. That's just my opinion. I don't know how he could. Maybe the sanctions are working. I don't know. I just don't think he has no control. If the president had control of those gas prices, you think in an election year he would let the gas prices go up to almost $4 a gallon? Of course not. That way we know he has no authority over them. If he did, he would have made sure that they were $1 a gallon maybe. Wouldn't that be great? Force me, I'll start driving my big truck again if I got $1 a gallon in gas. I assure you that much. It wouldn't sit in my yard just sitting there. But I'm not going to put $100 in a truck tank. It doesn't make any sense. It burns too much gas, so I don't drive it that often. Fortunately enough, I can drive a different vehicle. And so that's what I do. But I'm going to move forward into some stuff that was really, really important to me. And I'm going to touch a little bit on the Trayvon Martin thing. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I'm glad that the bond hearing has came and gone because it's going to die down pretty soon because trial is probably a year away at minimum, if not more. When you look at the case of Jennifer Hudson, when the ex-brother-in-law killed her mom, her brother, and her nephew, I think, it's been 4 years. That was in 2008. What takes so long to bring these people to trial? I mean, I don't understand. I don't get that what takes so long, but apparently it does in certain cases. Depends on what you did, who you did it to. Because there are certain cases where if you did something to the wrong person, I think you get a trial in 6 months. So it depends. But I want to talk about something that was really important that I saw on the television as watching the basketball game, and I saw, I guess, Ron Artest called himself Metal World Peace or something like that. He got some type of name he renamed himself. And in the game, it's hard to say for sure. I'd assume that he knew that he threw that elbow and he hit the one of the players on the other team, and I think the guy suffered a concussion. I'm not advocating at no time that someone should have thrown an elbow and hit anybody that did anything. Okay, that's not what I'm advocating. But what I found odd about it was that on the news this morning, people started bringing up that I think it was 2003, or it's been a long time ago when a big fight happened in Indiana, and they went up in the stands and they was fighting with the fans and stuff. I'm not advocating that either. But what I found odd is that it made every news station, and I heard people say a lot of things about Ron Artest, and okay, this is an incident that took place in the game yesterday, or by the time this aired, it'll be a week ago. And it was all over the national news. It was all over every news station this morning. I'm like, really? Because I don't understand something. Because in hockey, you can beat the crap out of somebody, and I really mean beat the crap out of somebody, and nobody seems to make the national news. Nobody seems to say anything. No one seems to complain about it. No one seems to. As a matter of fact, they say it's a part of the game. They somehow it's a part of the game. How's it a part of the game? Beating people head into the ice, beating people until they bleed. I mean, it was a game in hockey about 2 months ago. The entire teams were fighting. Matter of fact, as soon as they took the ice, both teams started fighting each other. It was all out brawl. Why is it different for hockey players to beat the crap out of each other in every single game that's played? There's a fight in hockey. But none of the sportscasters, none of the news media, none of the people complain, like I seen today, saying that he should be put out of the league forever and this and then let's put all the hockey players out of the league forever too. Let's, once again, why do we have this, what I call, two Americas? Which part of America do you live in? Because I believe there's two Americas. Like I heard Mitt Romney say that we're one nation under God, he said. He said the president wants to divide America. I got news for Mr. Romney. America is already divided. There's two Americas. There always have been two Americas. The question is, which one of them do you live in? See, Mr. Romney lives in the first part of the two Americas. And that's the area of America that has all the benefits and has all the opportunities. Because the second half of America, of the two Americas, doesn't have that. Then when we believe that, well, let's try a couple of scenarios. Well, let me go back to the hockey. How come in one America you can have hockey fights on every single night and it's never made a big deal out of? People go in the penalty box, then they go back on the ice for 2 or 3 minutes. Why is that? Because in the second half of America, Ron Artest, which he was wrong for throwing the elbow and hitting the guy and gave the guy a concussion, that was completely wrong. No doubt about that. But why is it the worst thing in the world? Why are we flashing back now to 2003 or whenever that was, when that fight was, the guy, what the hell the guy did between those years? I mean, it's been an 8-9 year swing. Am I a Ron Artest fan? I don't know the guy. But what I do know is that there are two Americas. Because this is big news for some reason, but not hockey fighting. Two Americas. Why do I say it's two Americas? Well, there's lots of reasons why. Let me give some more scenarios on two Americas. We have an extraordinary number of African American children and people in general that are missing in this two Americas we live in. But we never see their faces anywhere. No one ever talks about them. They never make the news. It's a rare occasion when something happens. But this stuff is happening every day in these two Americas we live in. But yet, in these two Americas, we could see Natalie Holloway, which was a tragedy for her family and for her. But she was in the news, seemed like every day for years. Casey Anthony, she was in the news for seems like a couple of years. The list will go on and on. The young girl that was over in England or wherever she was that was accused of murder, she was in the news forever. But why is this two Americas? There's nobody else in the news. How come no one is covering anything else? The Trayvon Martin case was a fluke almost because no one covers that stuff. I wouldn't say no one covers it, but somehow it doesn't make the actual main news programs like it should. We got kids missing in this country in these two Americas, where people are dividing down the middle of who's important and who's not in these two Americas. You have two Americas. How do I know that? If you go down to the inner cities and the urban areas, what you're going to find? You're going to find dilapidated houses. You're going to find roads that need to be repaired. You're going to find street lights that don't work. You're going to find schools that have subpar books and inadequate teachers. Then you go to the suburbs. And what do you find in this to America? You find very nice schools, schools with iPads in them, children with fancy up-to-date equipment. You find you have nice libraries and grocery stores and post offices and well-lit areas, and you have the sheriff department sitting out there to make sure the kids get across the streets and da-da-dee-da-da-da in this to America we live in. Then you look over there in the inner city and you find nothing. Why is that? Because Mitt Romney said that the president wants to divide this country. Long before President Obama became president, this country has been divided. It's the haves and it's the have-nots. And this didn't start in 2008, Mr. Romney. This started years ago. Years ago. You ever noticed it? I've seen it. I see it all the time. Two Americas. You think the president wants to divide something that's already been divided. The president ain't do anything to make America divided. It's been divided in the haves and have-nots for a long time. You don't think it's two Americas? Go to a hospital and don't have any insurance. You'll find out if it's two Americas or not. Because you won't be in there long with no insurance. They will hurry up and tell you or do whatever they need to do. That's why you think when we walk through the door of the hospital, before you can even get any help, they want to know about your insurance. As soon as you walk into University Community Hospital over here by the university, and you walk into the emergency door, you're not just going to walk in there and get a doctor to see you. They're going to take some information from you right off the bat. It's two Americas. You don't have any insurance, you're going to be in trouble. For people that don't think insurance is important, they live in the other part of America. But if you live in the second half of America, then you know that no insurance means no adequate medical help. Two Americas. It's been like that for a long time now. I don't see it changing very much, at least not for anybody significant, because there is going to be no middle class. The middle class is getting beat down. They're getting beat down, I believe, on purpose. Because if you have two Americas, and you can cut the Department of Education, which it clearly sounds ridiculous, because if you cut the Department of Education, so what does that mean? Somehow education is not important? Well, it's not going to be important in two Americas, because you got the ones that have, and then they're going to have more. Then the ones that can't get an education. I understand, I think in June or July, there's nothing's done. The student loan percentage is going to go up from 3 to, I think, 3 point whatever it is to 6. They're talking about cutting out Pell Grants and things like that for kids to get an education. And you think there's not two Americas? It's easy for Mr. Romney to say the president wants to divide this country. The country's been divided. The haves, the have-nots, and eventually the haves and have-mores and the have-nots. Because they can't catch up. Because the rules in the playing field is uneven. You can't learn anything if you cut in the Department of Education. You can't get an education if they take, well, in some cases where they're taking out some of the grant money to help some of the other kids that really would be afford to go to college unless they can get some type of grant, and they're removing these things so these kids can't get this education. The more you are not educated, the worse are you gonna be in your life. And I don't care what anybody can argue that point. And I argue with you all day long. Somebody might say, well, what are you saying? There are multi-millionaires and billionaires that didn't finish college. They didn't finish, but did they start? How about not getting an opportunity to even go? Two Americas. You don't believe there are two Americas? You take a well-dressed man and you bring him in. You pass him on the streets or you have any conversation with him. And then you go out there and you get a guy that's scruggly, dirty clothes, not smelling so well. You're not going to have the same conversation with him. And the reason why not? Because there's two Americas. The haves and the have-nots. Nobody's dividing this country. This country divided itself years ago. Look around you. Are we arresting people for selling crack cocaine. So he's arresting people for selling marijuana. No one is saying you should be selling it, but where did they get it from? Where did they get? Yeah, somebody might say, well, right now you can make your own. Listen, long before people was able to make their own on a smaller scale, that stuff was pouring into this country. How come the police department and the other people that was in charge, it's not just the police in this case, but the police was only going out there and arresting the people they can find locally. So we got to go beyond the police and go up to some of the big people, you know, that's supposed to be overseeing these drugs that was flown into this country and smuggling into this country. The big drug dealers. Why would we go and get those people? The people that was bringing in the 1,000, 10,000 pounds and kilos of drugs. Why we weren't getting those people? We were getting the little guys in the street because there's two Americas. That's why. We arrest some guy with 2 joints in his pocket or an ounce of weed, and we try to give him 20 years or something crazy. And then the people, the big ballers that are really bringing the drugs in here, we can't touch those people because they have money. And when you have money, you have 2 Americas. People say, what you need the money for? Why do you need money? Money makes the world go around. You don't believe it, that's because you don't have any. If you have some money, you know doors are open for you that normally wouldn't be open if you didn't have any money. Money brings power. Is that important? It might be to some people. Some people might say, well, I don't need no power. I don't need any money. You're going to need money because you can't survive without it. You're going to need some money, or whatever the equivalent to money will be in the future. You're going to need it. Because without it, you're just the second half of America. The have-nots. How many people deliberately want to be a have-not? I see that stuff on almost a daily basis. You can believe all you want. That's not 2 Americas. You can even believe the crap that the president is trying to divide the country. Like I said, the country was divided all along. The country was divided before Barack Obama became president in 2008. The country was divided before Barack Obama, President Obama was Senator Obama. The country was divided when he was a junior senator. The country was divided when he was a community organizer. The country was divided when he was at Harvard. The country was divided when he was a little kid. The country was divided before he was born. So when Mr. Romney said that the president trying to divide America, that we're one nation under God, are we really? Are we really one nation under God? Might be 2 nations under God. 2 Americas. The haves and the have-nots. And that's not going to change. Mr. Romney's the have. Ain't nothing wrong with being a have. But you can't recognize the have-nots when you're a have. Because you don't really hang with the have-nots, clearly. Why would you? When people criticize Mr. Romney, I don't think he should be criticized for being a have. Why should he be? He was successful in his life. He was able to get himself in situations, got the proper education, and it's stuff that we all should strive for our kids to do, is get a good education and wind up with a good job and be able to provide for their family and for their future. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have no problem with him earning money as long as it's legal. But it is 2 Americas. And anybody that says it isn't, excuse me, I will sit down with them and I will break down those 2 Americas. Because I know they're there. They've been there for a long time. Ask the people that have to go to court and don't have money for a lawyer. Ask those people that have to get a court-appointed attorney. I'm not knocking court-appointed attorneys, but somehow they just don't seem to have the funds to go out there and get all the experts and the medical experts and the ballistic experts, because you know their funds are limited. If you don't have money to hire you a great attorney, then you're going to have a problem when the state start prosecuting you, because you live in 2 Americas. I heard someone say, after O.J. Simpson had gotten off for the trial that he had, was it 95? I can't remember what year it was now. But anyway, the trial that he had about Nicole Brown Simpson and the other young man. And I heard somebody say after the fact that he had gotten off, that some lady made a statement, just a lady, commenting saying that his funds should be limited, what he can spend on his own defense. Really? That sounds ridiculous. You know why OJ? I don't know why OJ got off per se, but it was 2 Americas. OJ had money. He had money to buy the best attorneys that money could buy. Did he buy the non-conviction? I don't know. They say he was guilty. This is what I know. They said the system worked. And if the system worked, then I guess he wasn't guilty. because he found innocent. I don't know what to say, other than he had the best attorney that his money could buy, and he wound up. And I'm convinced. Of course, we can't go back and play it again. But if OJ was broke and he had a court-appointed attorney, OJ would have lost. Not because the attorney is no good per se, but because they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go out there and spend money on all these experts like Barry Scheck and all these people that went out there and doing the DNA thing. Nobody really knew DNA that much, and all this confusion for the stuff he talked about. I think some people just got confused on what was going on with all these different stuff about this DNA and this and that and the other and all these markers and this and that. Nobody understood it too much back in 20 years ago. I have it long ago. It's been a good little while. So did OJ beat the system? Did the system work? It wasn't because we live in two Americas. See, I think it was more about the fact we lived in two Americas. It happens all the time. Robert Blake got off. Did he kill his wife? People don't talk about that as much. They talk about the OJ thing a lot. They talk about the OJ thing. They always bring it up. But Robert Blake also was found innocent of killing his wife. But nobody really talks about that. It's kind of like a case that never happened. You know, we live in two Americas. Sometimes those kind of things will happen. We talk about certain people more than we talk about the others. I don't understand that. But because there's a lot of things I don't understand. But what I do understand is that because we do live in two Americas, we have to make sure that we're living in the right part. I have to make sure I'm living in the right part. Because I've seen the other side, and it don't look so good. I've seen the other side, and they don't get around so good. I've seen the other side, and it's a bad place to be. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, then they don't want to be on the wrong side of the two Americas. You don't believe me? You can look at any inner city any day of the week, anywhere in the United States, and it ain't gonna make a difference. You know, let me tell you what's strange about this situation. We send people to the moon, but we can't stop black on black crime in L.A., Compton, New York, Detroit, all these places, New Orleans, all these places we can't seem to stop these gangs. But yet, we can send a person to the moon. Of course we can stop them, but it's two Americas, so we're not going to stop them. You mean to tell me the Bloods and the Crips or whoever these gang bangers are, they are so powerful that we as a government cannot stop them? They don't have the weaponry that the government has. They don't have the technology that the government has. So how come the government can't shut them down? Why not? They don't want to. That's why not. If they wanted to, they would. But they don't want to. It's two Americas. Which side do you live in? If you live in the bad side, you want to strive to get to the good side. And if you live on the good side, most likely you don't care about the bad side. Which side do you live on? Which side do you want to live on? You don't have to take my word for it. You get your pencil and paper one day and you write down. You take your drive in your car and you drive through the inner cities. Even here in the Tampa, Hillsborough area, Hillsborough, Pinellas, any of the inner cities. And whether you even in Tampa or you in another part of the state, or even if you're out of state, and you visiting here, you live here for a while, you take a drive over there and you look at some of the rundown areas and the dilapidated houses that we talked about. Then you take a ride up Cheval. I don't know how far you're going to get up in Cheval because you're not getting up there. Those are multi-million-dollar homes. They excluded from getting up in their area. You take a ride to Terra Verde. You want to ride over there? You want to see how other half people live? You want to go over there, Feather Sounds? You want to take some different area? You just ride out in the New Tampa area. And, I mean, you just roll over there. It's some places right around locally. Even off, it's some place you don't see sometimes because they're so exclusive. You know, you go down Hillsborough and I think Longboat, you go over there down some of them side roads and you didn't know all those mansions was back up in there because they're kind of off the main drag and you don't really see them that much. Even going down Bears Avenue, if you ever drive down Bears Avenue, you just take a look. You know, heading toward Del Mabry, you take a look and you see these big walls, and if you look real close, way back off the road, there's these big mansions back up in there. You go over there on Davis Island and you look over there where Derek Jeter got his home over there at, and you see the haves. And then you go and you ride around and you look at the have-nots. You're going to see a vast difference in a hurry because that's the way this country has been divided. And it's going to remain divided. I don't care what nobody say about it. It's not divided. Of course it's divided. It'd be ridiculous to say it's not divided. Whoever's saying it's a fool, in my opinion. It's divided, and that's a fact. So you have to ask yourself as you sit there one day and you think about what I'm saying. Two Americas. Which one do you want to live in? Which one do you live in? Which one do you relate to? Which one would you want to get out of? Well, clearly you don't want to get out of the upper echelon part of America. You just want to get out of the lower income, or looked at as the lower income part of America. You got to work hard, people, because the gap is growing every day of our lives. Poverty is all around us. Some people have never seen it, tasted it. Some people have seen it and tasted it, and now they're no longer in it. If you ever been in it and you got out of it, you know what it's like to be in it. You have no desire to go back to it. But if you've never been in it, you can't understand what people are going through. You can't understand. They say they want to cut food stamps. I don't get food stamps. I never gotten food stamps. But there are some people out there that need those food stamps. They say they want to cut food stamps. What are these people going to eat? What are they going to eat? What are they going to do? But see, you always got somebody doing something they don't have any business. So if somebody's out there with food stamps, you got somebody else out there selling food stamps. Is it right? Of course it's not right. But it's going to be like that because you're going to always have crooks in everything we do. If you ran into the show by accident and you didn't know the Roosevelt Live show was on air, it's been on for 8 seasons. We're in our 8th season now. We're on Bright House 949, 950. You can catch us at Verizon. Your Verizon customer. That's Verizon 30 or 36 channel, or Comcast, I believe, channel 20. If you want to make a comment about the show, you can always email me, liveroosevelt@gmail.com. You can always go out there on YouTube, check out the seasons before, youtube.com/Roosevelt Live. If you want a copy of the show for some reason, need to email me again at liveroosevelt@gmail.com, and we'll make that arrangement. If you decide you want to do some sponsorship on the show, if you happen to like the show and you think that it's getting some viewers, and you want to go out there and you want to mean your company, your business be advertised on the show, just do the same thing again. Email me, liveroosevelt@gmail.com. We'll do the necessary paperwork that need to be done, and you can become a sponsor for the Roosevelt Live show. As we do have sponsors coming up here in the next few months. People have been contacting us wanting to get on board and want to do a little something. And if you want to be a guest on the show, feel free to contact me. And maybe it's a subject that you want to talk about that I haven't touched on. That's okay too. I don't have a problem with that. Or maybe you want to come on and talk to me about something I said that you disagree with. Or even something I said that you agree with. Either way, I am a friendly guy at the end of the day. I just got strong opinions. Feel free to contact me again, liveroosevelt@gmail.com. And we'll talk via email, and if need to be, we'll exchange phone numbers, and we'll move forward from there. I'm Roosevelt, and I'm your host of Roosevelt Live.